Hello, my loves. I am hoping you can see me because Facebook is being a pill and couldn't see my camera or hear my microphone. So, hopefully, you can see me and hopefully, you can hear me. My name is Casandra MacAlan, the inventor of thought pain therapy, and thank you for joining me today on Free the Wisdom to Heal the Body. So, today I want to talk about something that one of my wonderful watchers or listeners had suggested last week, and that was, why do we self sabotage? Or why do we have such a hard time keeping to our goals and intentions? And this is a especially poignant time of year for this, right? We all make these New Year's resolutions and we all struggle with the feelings that we can't trust ourselves to follow through with them. So, we're going to talk about that a little today. So, there are commonly two difficulties that we face when we are challenged with keeping our word to ourselves. The first has to do with understanding the difference between what I call a should and a true desire. And the second is understanding what a dopamine addiction is. So, firstly, a should is an expectation that we believe is held by other people as it relates to us. So, those others can mean family, friends, media, society, environment, culture, religion, pretty much anything you can think of. It is the belief that we hold that we are not enough, or not doing it right, or somehow a disappointment because we're not fitting with our own perception of what is wanted or expected of us. So, why is this important? Well, because if a goal that you have is under a category of should, then you may find it doesn't actually serve the purpose that your higher self or inner being really wants. It is unnecessary or sometimes even contrary to what will enable you to become the greatest version of yourself in this lifetime. Let's use an example of perhaps a job that you hold. Maybe there's a job that you feel like you should go to, you need to go to, but really the truth is that you hate it, that you hate what you do, that you're not enjoying yourself. Well, ultimately, that feeling of should will never be enough to motivate you to continue to do something that is contrary to what your soul is here to accomplish. Another example would be losing weight. That's always popular this time of year. Um, Perhaps you look in a mirror and you negatively compare yourself to others, or even a past version of yourself. And you use this shame based comparison to tell yourself that working out, for instance, is something you should be doing. And if you truly don't want to be doing it, well, then all you're going to be successful at is shooting on yourself and feeling terrible, like you're a failure when you don't. So, the first thing we have to do is decide if the goals we've set are for ourselves or for someone else. And one of the ways to do that is ask yourself why you want to do something. Is it to avoid a perceived punishment? Well, then it's likely a should rather than a desire. And since everyone is motivated by pleasure seeking or punishment avoidance, then one of these things has come into play. And often, when we're doing something to avoid feeling bad about ourselves, it is insufficient motivation for us to truly change. We have to want to feel better about ourselves for doing something, not just bad about ourselves for not doing it. Does that make sense? Let me see if you guys can hear me. Yes, you can see and hear me, and I am amazing. Thank you. Okay, great. So often when I tell people that, they say to me things like, well, what about things that I have to do that I don't want to do, like dishes? Okay, well, if you don't want to do the dishes, then don't. And with all decisions, there will be consequences. So, are you comfortable with the consequences of not doing the dishes? Are you good with eating off of dirty plates? Are you good with hiring someone else to wash them? Are you good with trading the chore with a partner? Or maybe be good with buying biodegradable or recycled plates to eat off of instead. The point is, there are always choices. And when you free yourself from the trap of thinking that you have no choice, you will find that you have far more motivation to change. Now, one of the ways that I do this is I say to myself, instead of shooting on myself, yes, it sounds like what you think it does, I say, well, you know what? I could if I wanted to. And then I make a list mentally or sometimes even on paper where I list the pros and the cons of doing and not doing something. And if the pros outweigh the cons, well, then it becomes a choice, not a should. And now I have the ability to move from a place of shame about not doing something that I should to empowerment as I make the choice. So accepting the consequences of whatever your choices are. And sometimes, if necessary, I'll reframe my thinking and I will move my mind from telling me that I have to I get to. And that means that I don't do I don't do anything that I don't want to do. I really don't. So, now on to the second reason, and for me, the most difficult to overcome, and it has to do with how our brain functions, specifically the neurotransmitter called dopamine. And this gives us the feeling of a reward. Dopamine is the hit that we get when we feel we've done a good job or been successful at something. Our brain releases this and it makes us feel good. It's pleasure seeking. It feels amazing. And it also gives us the motivation to do more of whatever we were doing to get it, which can be good and not. Our problem arises when we choose instantaneous dopamine hits that distract us from the things that take work, or a dopamine hit that's self sabotaging rather than self creating. Some examples of this type of self sabotaging dopamine hit are social media, television binging, gaming, alcohol, drugs, sugar, junk food, fast food, gambling, smoking, internet rabbit holes, sex, pornography. You probably already know what yours are. I know what mine are. And all of these things and more can give us a dopamine hit and leave us feeling good for the moment, and then we want more of it. And the easier it is, the quicker the hit, the more addictive it becomes. Because we all love instant gratification. And in our world, it's becoming easier and easier to get it. So, unfortunately, this gets us trapped into this loop of perpetuating behaviors that don't feel fulfilling, yet feel self indulgent in the moment. Now, if you are unsure of the difference, I did a live last year be talking about the difference between self indulgence, self care, and soul care. And I will link it in the chat when I'm done for people that want more information and to kind of learn more about how you differentiate those types of feelings. So, how do you avoid the distractions and focus on the life changes that you really want to make? Well, you can start by working on the addictive component. Deny yourself, avoid, distract yourself from those meaningless dopamine hits until you've achieved a goal for yourself. So, as an example, if you want to do something, and I mean really want to do it, not think you should, then do that thing first. If you want to doom scroll Facebook, but you also want to do laundry, then sort your clothes, put a load in the wash before you pick up your phone or computer. If you want to meditate, then do it before you sit down to watch TV for the evening. Make the dopamine hits that don't progress your life forward the reward for the actions that do. It's like tricking your brain in a way, and I love brain tricks. To quote Mel Robbins, who I love, if you made the changes that you're avoiding, you would have the life that you deserve. Powerful, right? She goes on to say that the secret to success is to do the shit you're avoiding, the stuff you put off every day, even though you know it will move you forward. Another way to trick your brain is to link things you automatically do every day with things you want to do every day. So, as an example, after you get up every morning, stretch your body for 5 or 10 minutes. Or make the bed. Reward. Or after you brush your teeth at night, go immediately and meditate. Or do that skincare routine you've been putting off. Reward. Try connecting activities that bring you self-satisfaction with those that are already habits. And lastly, I recommend taking a dopamine addiction break every once in a while. Take a day and don't indulge in those activities. While I was on vacation, spending my holidays in a hobbit hole in Fairfield, Virginia, my partner and I took dopamine addiction breaks. We didn't do all of those things that we found ourselves doing throughout our average day to distract ourselves. And instead, we did things that felt so fulfilling. We had long conversations, we played games, we took walks, we made meals, and it was incredible. So take these dopamine addiction breaks once a week, once a month, or if you're brave, take it like I did for a whole week. You might need to be on vacation already because we end up having to go onto our computer often when we're working, but it's worth it. And it reminds you of other things in your life that are worth so much more than the time you spend self-indulging on things that aren't. Do those things that are going to make you feel successful and bring you a sense of pride in your accomplishments. And the more of those things you do, the more you're going to want to do them. And soon you will find that you're craving the dopamine hits that are harder to achieve and more valuable to receive. And the more you will love yourself for what you're capable of. So I will end today by saying that everything in your life has been created by you. It's either a reaction or an intention. Let that sink in. What power we hold. So thank you for joining me today. And if you would like to know more about what I was chatting about or anything that is challenging for you, I'll put a link in the chat before it closes where you can contact me directly. Okay, I will go to the chat and see if I can answer some questions. Evelyn said yes. So excellent. I'm glad that you're here today, and I hope some of this is helpful. Randall said, I was just talking to somebody about this today. Emily said, this was so helpful. Thank you. I'm not going to shut on myself. Yes, we shouldn't. I mean, it really is the way that we keep ourselves focused on things that we don't want to do and then perpetually abuse ourselves for not doing them. When if we think about it, maybe we can go a little deeper and decide whether or not it's something that we really desire. It's something that our soul really desires. Or is it something that we feel we should be doing? Jill said, thank you, Cass. Jenna said, thank you. I'm so glad you guys were able to join me this week. I know last week was difficult. This Facebook thing, I'm still learning it. All right. Well, while you guys are still making comments, I want to remind you to take care of yourself for me. And I'm going to post those links. So this is the link to the live that I did about self-care versus self-indulgence. And hopefully that will link you to my YouTube and you can watch it there. And by the way, I'm trying to get caught up with putting these Facebook lives on YouTube so people can watch them there because I know not everybody does Facebook. And I will put a link where you can get a free chat with me and hopefully I can answer some questions or help free you from some of that pain that you may be struggling with in mind, body, or spirit. All right, my loves, take care of yourself for me. And I will talk to you next week. And if you have anything you would like me to talk about publicly, in other words, I'll say your name, or privately, you just want some info, I would love some topic suggestions because then it makes me feel like I'm really speaking to you and not just about things that I think are interesting. So send me a private message, put it in the chat. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about, and I'll share. All right. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Bye.